Hey guys, thanks for tuning in right now. We know that if you're watching, that oneChurch.tv is your church. As many of you know, we don't do membership. We actually measure engagements in four different ways. And if you're engaged in these ways, that you're a part of the oneChurch.tv family. The first is just getting connected. One of our core values that life is better connected and that circles are better than rows. So we ask everybody to get connected in a small group, and many of you have done that. Other one is serving on a team. Again, one of our core values is save people, serve people. And many of you, you serve on many different teams here at OneChurch.tv. And I just want to say thank you so much for serving. We couldn't do church without you. Another way that many of you guys are engaged is you invite people to OneChurch.tv. Again, one of our core values is found people, find people. And we believe that we're not the focus, that God and the lost are the focus. And lastly is giving a percentage of our income. And one of our core values is that generosity is not a financial issue; it's actually a heart issue. So, if any of those four engagements resonate with you, if you participate in those, I just want to say thank you. So, if you're watching, it's because you're participating in one of these four areas. So, before I move ahead, I just want to say again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks for partnering with us and making church not about us, but about God connecting those far from Him. I also want to treat you, the people of OneChurch.tv, in a manner that's mature. I'm always going to shoot straight with you, and that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. If I and our staff and elders say something now, and we have to change our mind based on new data, then we're going to communicate our decision. And the big question on everybody's mind is, when will we start meeting again as a church? Well, I would simply say OneChurch.tv hasn't stopped meeting. We have been meeting digitally well before the coronavirus. Our church has actually gotten stronger and larger during our shutdown. We are deeper than we ever have been, thanks to more teaching, more worship, more devotionals, and more prayer services through social media channels. We are wider as well. More people have joined us through social media accounts, and more people are watching our services than ever before. Now, since this started, our church and its people have been blessing our communities. Because you give to OneChurch.tv, that has enabled us to support the work of Manna Cafe and give hundreds of dollars their way. Some have even worked at Manna Cafe and Radical Mission, been working and helping with daycares and with resources, giving away hand sanitizer and Lysol, paid for groceries for families, dropped off meals to the homeless, and give hundreds of dollars for benevolence help. And that is all God, and honestly, that's all you. Financially, we're doing okay as a church, and we've allocated the money that would have gone for paying for rent, meeting at a movie theater, for being for Clarksville. And for that, I simply want to say thank you. Thank you so much for being a generous church and helping so many people that you'll never know the names and you'll never see their faces. Now, we are expecting physical meetings and buildings to be still a few months off. Churches, concert venues, and sporting events will be among the last organizations freed to resume normal activities since so many people gather in tight quarters. How long off? Well, it's kind of hard to say. How about I just treat you like an adult and say maybe July or the beginning of August? As of now, we believe the Regal movie theater might be reopening sometime in July. But honestly, we don't know. When the government does clear us to meet, it's possible, honestly, we still won't meet. The first wave of restrictions are likely to be so overbearing that physical services won't be possible. Proposals I've heard include social distancing every other row and a 3-seat buffer between everyone. This would be after you've had your temperature taken from volunteers with masks and gloves as you walked in, no coffee stations, no children's ministry, and required hand sanitizers attached to every seat with no singing. And who wants to be the volunteer to turn someone away when we reach capacity or they have an elevated temperature? Some would say, well, Chris, why don't you have more services with lower attendance? Again, great idea, and we might do that once we open, but again, we know our physical ministry model very, very well. At max, we can only do 3 services. We were doing 3 services for a while, an 8, 9:15, and 10:30. But honestly, because the movie theater starts showing movies at noon, we can't do any practically after that. Having a service room about 30% capacity of 120 seats in Theater 16 is going to make an awkward first impression, and having all the children in the room is going to make for not that great of an experience. Not because we don't want kids to worship with us, but because our rooms are going to be jammed shoulder to shoulder with people. And again, once you start bringing children into that mix, it's only going to get bigger, and we just won't have the space. Here's the bottom line. I believe when moms feel comfortable sending their kids off to school, they're going to feel comfortable sending their kids back to church. That said, we can change our mind at any time when we get new information, and we can make wise, informed decisions. Let me give you a couple polls. In a poll released last Thursday by the Pew Research Center, 75% of American adults feel the worst is yet to come with this novel coronavirus, and 66% were worried that restrictions are going to be lifted too soon. Anyone who's seen is putting public health at risk is going to come under scrutiny and indignation. And if we go back to crowds and buildings too early, we're going to give the church and Jesus a black eye and significantly lessen our likelihood of blessing our communities for years to come. Remember, our goal is we want to let our communities know that we are for them. Yet unchurched people are going to say it was those Christians who just had to meet to pass the offering plate, and they ended up hurting our community. Hear me. I'm the guy who tries to never, ever cancel a church service. Over the past 13 years, we've canceled only 5 services before this pandemic. And as a pastor of oneChurch.tv, it's my job to keep our folks safe and to continue to move our mission to lead people into a growing relationship with Jesus Christ. We want to reach people for Jesus. But the best way for us to do that right now is to continue to have church online and get better at it. We're going to start meeting again when the movie theater reopens and when we can provide services for our entire family, not just adults. Again, kids and student ministry are the lifeblood of our church. Some of you know this. We have a 1-to-1 ratio of adults to children and students at oneChurch.tv. So we have to have our family ministry up and running in some way. Just canceling family ministry will over double the people we have in our overcrowded movie theater during a time when we can only be at 30 to 50% capacity. It just won't work currently. Again, I'm thinking when moms feel comfortable sending their kids off to school, they're going to feel comfortable sending their kids back to church. So as of now, we have moved all of our environments to a digital experience. We have completed work on our new website. If you haven't been there, you ought to go to it, oneChurch.tv. Adult worship happens digitally on 3 different platforms: Facebook, YouTube, and our app. OneChurch.tv Kids, sorry, that's a mouthful, happens on YouTube. Our Inside Out Students on Wednesday nights is happening on YouTube and Zoom calls. 90% of our small groups are still meeting, get this, over Zoom calls. Group life is continuing to happen, and with the CDC relaxing some of their guidelines, some of you are getting back together, and we're really stoked and excited about that. We just ask that you continue to practice social distancing and keep it 10 and under. Usually, during the summers, many of our small groups choose not to meet following the school schedule. However, we're encouraging all of our small group leaders and small groups that if they're able to continue to meet, do it virtually, not knowing when life will get back to normal. Even if it's not every week, continue to connect with the people you know best and who can give you the best care. Hear me on this one. Our staff and our leadership will continue to lead teams through these times. We're going to provide digital content like devotionals and always getting better in moving our environments to digital. A pandemic will not keep Jesus from working. You guys know this. We will continue our mission of leading people into a growing relationship with Jesus Christ. The Great Commission will continue, and we're going to continue to be innovators, and we will not needlessly push an old model of ministry forward when our current model of streaming, increased content, and Zoom meetings are actually bearing much fruit. Our church has never been about buildings. You know that. We're about rallying together, following God, loving our neighbors, being for Clarksville, and changing the world. While the method has changed, the mission hasn't. And as we navigate this new world, we will continue to share information with you as early as possible. We will reserve the right to change directions and pivot mid step. But my hope is to honor you with transparency and, as always, honor God. I tell you, I am honored to be on this team with you, and I love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us today.